Scotland. Mountains, lochs, castles, midges, and increasingly, content. The algorithm has helped turn remote places into must-see destinations. But when views become visitors and hidden gems stop being hidden, things can get complicated.
Most of the tourists now come in camper vans. They don't benefit the economy in any way, but they cause a massive nuisance.
We benefit hugely off the North Coast 500. We probably wouldn't have a business without it.
Tourism is a multi-billion-pound business for Scotland. But how do we make sure the way we travel isn't destroying the places we're coming to see? From BBC News, I'm Thea. In case you missed it, Scotland has gone viral.
Scotland.
Did you know that in Scotland?
We're actually going to hear directly from Chris in a bit. He's a travel influencer with about 2.3 million followers across his social accounts. So I think he knows a thing or two about going viral. But first, let's look at some data. Now, this isn't an exact science, but we do know that back in 2022, the number of posts on Instagram with the Scotland hashtag surpassed 20 million. 4 years later, in 2026, that number has increased to almost 30 million. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok have introduced Scotland to huge new audiences worldwide. It seems to be influencing outdoor enthusiasts and history buffs alike to visit scenic spots across Scotland like Edinburgh, the Cairngorms, Skye, Glencoe and Loch Ness. I'm going to add the NC500 to that list. It's kind of become the lightning rod location for this over-tourism debate. In fact, a recent survey showed that there's been an 83% increase in the number of vehicles on North Highland roads since 2014. And alongside that, 90% of residents reported having seen signs of damage to the local environment.
The dream can so easily turn into a nightmare. Tourists can bring noise and disruption to what were previously tranquil, idyllic spots. The Highlands are where people come to seek adventure and peace and quiet away from the noise of the big cities. But are we in danger of destroying the very beauty that attracted us here in the first place?
Firstly, love the jumper. Secondly, we've been here before. We're making the same point in 2026 that our man in the jumper made back in 1992. The only difference now is there's a lot more people. Now, I know that Scotland's a great place to visit, and the season staycationers seem to agree. The most up-to-date data from the Great British Tourism Survey showed that 10.6 million people from around Britain took overnight trips to Scotland in 2024. And it was also a record year for international travel to Scotland, with 4.4 million trips made. We all like to show off the destinations we're visiting. I mean, I love an Insta story. But when hundreds or even thousands of people descend on the same place, it can put a lot of pressure on the communities at the heart of them. One viral TikTok video can change a place pretty much overnight for the people that live there.
A social media video can go viral pretty quick. You know, you can post it on Tuesday and by Thursday or Friday, it could have 2 million views. And if that's a particular location in Scotland with 4 or 5 car park spaces and the weekend comes around, it's going to get busy and the infrastructure isn't there for it in Scotland in a lot of places.
Okay, so back to Chris. Alongside being a travel influencer, he's also president of Ramblers Scotland, a walk-in charity that promotes responsible tourism. I sent him some questions to get his insight.
If we look at the Isle of Skye, for example, it's one of the places I try to avoid doing videos on and promoting because it's already, you know, got a lot of people visiting it, particularly tourists, and single track roads, a lot of camper vans. It can get very busy. Try to be beneficial as possible to locals and businesses without upsetting or causing issues for locals. I've did a lot of videos about various walks in Scotland, and within those videos I tried to highlight a cafe people can visit at the end of that walk to try and provide much value to people as possible. So I had a lot of messages from various businesses over the years saying that, you know, it's completely changed their business. You do see a big benefit to small businesses in Scotland through travel content. The videos I've posted to social media has always been from a place of showing people in Scotland what's on their doorstep, as opposed to saying to somebody in France, for example, hey, come to Scotland, this is cool. It's always been about you live in Govan in Glasgow, here's something an hour away you can check out. For me personally, the biggest impact has been the mental health benefits people have taken from walks that I've maybe suggested, or people have seen that's on their doorstep. And I've had messages from people, particularly on TikTok, young men, about how they've went out into nature, did some of the walks I've suggested, and it's helped their mental health, their anxiety, their stress. And for me personally, that's a big impact, because I started doing the videos for my own mental health and getting out into nature and doing hill walks and things like that. So it's kind of came full circle, and it's pretty interesting to see.
Tourism is usually talked about as a good thing, and as Chris showed, a lot of the time it is. However, in some parts of Scotland, especially rural communities, it's also bringing challenges.
It's one of the great places left on this earth that's really unspoiled. Well explored, but unspoiled. I love it immensely. It's a great place. I wouldn't like to see it spoiled by masses of tourists.
Trebled the capacity for parking here, and yet still on a daily basis we will be turning visitors away.
It's festival time in Edinburgh, but it takes its toll on infrastructure and services.
It's more and more difficult for people who live in these kind of areas to buy houses and stay here long term.
What are the biggest pressures that tourism is placing on communities in the Highlands at the minute?
Well, we know that tourism is undoubtedly playing a really important role within the Highlands. It's a key part of the local economy there. It's employing thousands of people, and it is helping to give businesses a bit of a seasonal boost. So few people would doubt the importance of tourism locally. But at the moment, what we're seeing is quite a fascinating debate play out about whether there need to be controls in place, whether tourism is actually putting local people first. And tourism only functions if it's within a thriving community, a place where there are business owners, where there are shops, where there's a supply chain, where there are roads that are maintained. And I think we've reached a point now where some communities are saying that there's over-tourism, where the industry as a whole is kind of out of step with local concerns. You've got to think, in the Highlands there are lots and lots of single track roads, there's not a lot of public transport. The local people rely on that transport network every single day for getting to school and work. Now if they're seeing lots and lots of camper vans all year round, or particularly over the summer, there's going to be a cost when it comes to repairing the roads, and the local authority simply just does not have the money at the moment to be able to undertake widespread road repairs on an annual basis. And if those roads fall into disrepair, for the local people, they start to feel that tourism has kind of gone too far.
Is this like an issue that's widespread across the Highlands, or are there certain areas where it's felt much more acutely?
Well, the key battleground, if you like, for this debate is within the North Highlands, and a campaign called the North Coast 500. The private company behind it very much wanted to encourage visitors from abroad to a part of Scotland where there typically had been fewer people. You know, I should stress the campaign behind it very much say they recognise the challenges associated with the road trip.
So this report was published in June 2026, and it suggests that NC 500 generated £100 million in economic benefit and supported 1,335 jobs across the area. But it also highlighted that 85% of residents often saw discarded rubbish, and more than half experienced dangerous or irresponsible driving.
But the company is saying that, you know, it gets that that is a bit of a challenge, and it's trying to encourage tourists to sign a visitor pledge, a responsible form of tourism where people are being asked not to park in laybys but to choose to go to campsites, to stay in official places overnight, to dispose of their waste responsibly, not to tip it into laybys or to roadsides, to clean up their litter, and to spend time going to local shops and restaurants.
Did you know, by the way, that you can comment on some BBC articles? Well, this article generated a lot of chat.
I believe in the moral right to roam Scotland, and it should be upheld. Because we have some beautiful scenery.
Scotland's right to roam laws came into effect in 2005. Basically, as long as you act responsibly, you can walk, cycle, horse ride, climb, sail, or canoe on most open land or inland water here. But it doesn't include things like shooting, fishing, or access with motorised vehicles. Right to roam is underpinned by 3 basic principles: respect the interests of other people, care for the environment, and take responsibility for your own actions. A key message from it is leave no trace, but that only works if you actually leave no trace. Not always the case.
Yes, it does mean that people can enjoy access to the great outdoors with some exceptions, but it's about our behaviour, because the legislation is accompanied by an outdoor code. And we're seeing some measures across the Highlands in particular to manage the impact of human activity.
And how do local people, I suppose, what are their kind of views? What do they want to see happen? Like, how do they kind of feel about tourism, I guess, is my question.
I think you struggle to find people in the Highlands who disagree with tourism in its entirety. I think most people would say that they accept there's a role to play, that they do want there to be a responsible form of managed tourism. But depopulation, the emptying of some of these beautiful, stunning parts of the Highlands is a really pressing concern. A kind of emptying out, a hollowing out effect. Now that is partly because it's economically difficult for people to stay in the communities that they love or to return to the place where they grew up. So although tourism is employing a lot of people in the hospitality industry, there's a question about whether the proliferation of Airbnb style properties, holiday lets, is making it much, much harder for people to find available accommodation.
I thought it was really interesting what Cameron said about how holiday lets and second homes are hollowing out communities in the Highlands. When I started this video, I was initially interested in finding out what impact social media was having on tourism in Scotland. But as I'm delving into the topic, I'm finding some of the issues are much bigger than just backed up traffic at beauty spots and people not taking their litter home with them. So the big question is, what is being done to help the communities affected by some of the issues that Cameron raised? Well, in a bid to balance tourism with local housing needs, Edinburgh and Badenoch and Strathspey in the Highlands have brought in strict rules on Airbnb-style short-term lets. But it wasn't without opposition and controversy. And parts of Inverness and the West Highlands could soon follow suit. Other steps are also being taken to try and deal with tourism pressures. Edinburgh now charges visitors a tourist tax, like some other parts of the UK and Europe, and other areas in Scotland are looking to do the same. Okay, so the whole thing is a bit complex. The latest Visit Scotland estimates show that tourism brought in over £11 billion in 2024 and employed around 239,000 people. That's around 9% of total employment in Scotland. It looks like we can't live without it, but in some cases it's hard to live with it, especially for those living around Insta hotspots. It's led to a growing number of influencers thinking differently about their content.
If I was to go somewhere in Scotland, and now that I've got quite a large audience and I'm aware of how many people could see that video, I'm more mindful now of what I post, and if it's got like 4 or 5 car parking spaces, I just won't do a video on it. And that's through lived experience from doing these videos and seeing the impact. Okay, so I posted that video. There's been some issues with the number of people going to that location the weekend I posted it. So what did I learn for that? How can I improve my videos going forward? Show and tell other creators what I've learned, and if there's anything you can take away for that, then great.
It's clear to see why visitors are drawn to Scotland. It's history, dramatic scenery, friendly locals? Okay, maybe I'm a bit biased there, but the Scottish Outdoor Access Code is designed to help us all be responsible while enjoying the great outdoors in Scotland. And if we all do our bit, maybe everyone can have a good time. Just so long as you weren't hoping to top up your tan. I want to hear what you think. Have you had any experiences while visiting places in Scotland that you'd like to share? Let me know in the comments. That's all from me. Bye until next time. Now where did I put that midgie spray?